Hey there, and welcome back to our channel. On this channel, we discuss dissociative identity disorder and borderline personality disorder. Today, we're going to focus on DID. We had somebody ask us on Instagram about our inner world, so I figured I would come and make a video about it. My name is Amy. I am a caretaker for the inner world, as well as the system architect. And it's actually a really interesting time for us to talk about our inner world because we are in the process of revamping it. I am trying to make it so that it fits more of what our system looks like now. One thing to mention is that our host cannot access the inner world. My theory is that because she still has some denial about having DID, as well as denial regarding certain memories, that is blocking her from accessing the inner world. She did used to be able to access the inner world before she knew about the system, and I think she just didn't have anything to deny at the time, so there was nothing blocking her from it. So I'm going to talk about what our new inner world looks like, and I do have my sketches laid out in front of me to help guide me to make sure I'm not rambling all over the place about it. So what our new world looks like: before, we had a house that had some altars and an apartment building that had other altars, and we had some altars living in the forest and then some altars off in the void. And then Ariana has her side system that they are in their own world. And I wanted to create a place where all of the altars can come together so that hopefully that will help us work more cohesively as a system. So the new place looks like an Old English manor, and if whoever is editing can figure it out, we will insert an image of our inspiration here. And it does have the turret. The littles wanted to make sure that we had that. Now, in front of the manor, there is a bit of a driveway with a gate in front. The gate never opens. There's nobody coming in and out of the manor. It's just the way that this is designed. And in the middle of the driveway is a rectangular koi pond. And then on one side of the driveway is space for Mary's garden. I wanted to make sure that she had a large garden because that is her love, is gardening, and she is in charge of what that is going to look like. On the other side is a dog run, and this is where things get tricky. Even though I am the architect, I don't always get to control what is or isn't accepted by the brain. So I can try to make something happen, but the brain may not let it stick. And so I have been trying to give the littles a dog inner world because they have been wanting it. And so far it hasn't stuck, but I did create the dog run. Hopefully that will trigger the brain to say no, listen, this is something that would actually be beneficial. And hopefully we can get a dog for the littles. Now, going up into the house, you have the porch, and then you have an entrance hall, and the entrance hall is where all of the other rooms shoot off from. It is 3 stories. Each story does have its own separate rooms. Shell considers us a large system, but I'm sure we're still small regarding to other people, but we do have over 20 altars, and so it was a bit of a challenge to try to figure out the blueprint to make sure all the altars have their own space. And from the entrance hall, next to the entrance hall, we do have a receiving room. This we created especially for Ariana's side system. This is going to be the area where if they are stepping into our inner world or stepping into the headspace, they can come through the receiving room. In this room is where we're going to put up the system rules, any greetings, explanations about the system, just because we did have an instance where we had somebody from the side system front, but none of us can communicate with them, only Ariana can, and so it created a little bit of chaos. So this is to hopefully keep that from happening in the future. Now, on the other side of the entrance hall is the fronting room, and this is going to be the room where anybody who is in the headspace can kind of just sit and watch what's going on in the outer world. Now, there is a space for the entrance to the basement. We are still going to have a basement because that is where a lot of memories are kept, and the organizer is going to have her own sort of office space where she can be close enough to the basement to be able to do her job, but doesn't have to stay in the basement all the time. And there are then bedrooms for everybody, with a few exceptions. When it comes to Anthony, who has a very specific role in our system and does not front very often, he has his own hut in the forest, which is behind the manor. And I will also have my own tree house in the forest. There are also going to be other altars that choose to stay in the forest because they're not ready to make themselves known to the rest of the system. So there's going to be plenty of hiding spaces for them in the forest. And there will still be a few altars floating around in the void. The Rolodex stays in the void. That is where he stays. That's how he is able to see everything that is going on in the system. And unfortunately, as of right now, the Dark Lady will also still be in the void because she is not yet ready to integrate with the rest of the system. Hey, Shell here. Sorry to interrupt, but I noticed while watching back this video that Amy threw out a bunch of names and didn't explain who she was talking about. So just to provide some clarification, Ariana, who she's talking about for a side system, she is our physical protector. She is also in charge of a side system of altars that we don't really have communication with and can only communicate with through Ariana. So that's what Amy is talking about with that. And then the organizer is one of our gatekeepers as well as our memory keeper. And so she stays near the basement because that's kind of her job, is to make sure the memories stay organized and stay put. And then the Rolodex is our primary gatekeeper. He stays in the void because that is how he's able to keep an eye out on the entire system. And then the Dark Lady is a persecutor. We are actively working with her, but she is not yet at a point where she's wanting to work with the system, so she is still in the void as well. The void is not a scary place. It's just a space that exists. It's kind of nothing, but it's not like a punishment. It's just where she is most comfortable staying right now, and is also a way that she is separating herself from the rest of us for the time being. Thanks, and back to Amy. Now, in the backyard, there is going to be like a patio, and next to the patio, there's going to be a playground for the littles. And the playground is going to be right next to the meeting space. We decided that we wanted our meeting room to be outdoors, and it's going to be right next to the playground so the littles can still feel involved in the group, but not have to sit through boring grown-up meetings. And then I've also created an area that allows us to socialize in our world. And I remember in high school and college in the inner world, they would have just like dance parties and karaoke sessions, and I would love to see our system start to do that again. So I've created a space for that, and then also a pool. And then right between the backyard and the forest is a basketball court and a soccer court or soccer field. I'm not the sports one, but Cameron and Megumi and Stefan would really love to be able to play sports, and so I wanted to make sure I created space for that. Now, Ariana is still going to have her own world where her side system resides, but I did create a room for her if she does decide to hang out with the rest of the system. And She has her room right next to the receiving room so that she's easily able to access the portal between her world and our inner world. And as we build this, our hope is that we can continue to help our host break down that denial. And I think that once she really reaches a place of acceptance, that she will be able to enter the inner world. And I'm really excited for that. So that's a little bit about our inner world. We'd love to hear about your inner world down in the comments below. Feel free to ask us any questions. I may have missed some things. I am on a time limit for filming this. But if you have any questions, leave them below and we will definitely respond. But thank you so much for giving us your time and attention, and take care until next time.